All right, welcome back to the episode of the Fan Connection podcast. As you can see, it's just me and Berta right now. I think Ponch is finishing up his stream, but we had already started the timer, so it is what it is. He asked us to start early. We start a little bit later than usual. He's still not here, so I don't know. Something's going on with. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. He's just finished up his stream. He should be here any second now. Really,
Dude, the overlay looks sick, man.
you like
I
it?
like it.
Yeah, I edited it from last time. I added some yellow in there. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how I feel about the yellow yet, but I like the rest
I
of
like,
it.
I like it. I like it. You know, I'm wearing this hoodie, right? Do you know what this is by chance?
The flow, is that a Brock Besser hoodie or something?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it is. It is. So like the thing is I was just wearing this for the sake of wearing it. And I usually just scroll on Twitter. Like I was pretty busy today, as you know, but I was just scrolling through Twitter, and Frank Saravalli was just talking about how Best was probably like the most likely trade candidate for the Canucks, like the
Oh
guy they're
yeah.
most likely gonna ship off. I'm like, well, that's just sad.
Yeah, it's tough because I know because right now Rutherford's the GM, right?
It's Alvin, but Rutherford's the president, so
Right. So
but they
he's
worked together before, so it's kind of
yeah.
like yeah, they're
They
in it
share the
together.
job. They share the job.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Thank you for the raid, by the way, Ponchi. Pet9 says he's been here for hours. Yeah, no, Pet9 showed up on time. Or sorry, Dad9, I should say. So shout out to Dad9, supported the podcast. Trade Ponch for pizza. It's looking kind of worth it. No, just kidding.
Is there a Pet 9 as well?
Yeah, he has two channels. He's got Pet9, he's got Dad9. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
they're both
What kind
the
of
same.
pizza are we talking though?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, welcome aboard, Ponch. It's nice to have you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was winning the national championship. No big deal.
Right.
Oh yeah,
right, right,
nice,
right.
nice, great.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess let's get into today's stream. So welcome back to the Fan Connection podcast. You can find us as the Fan Connection on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can also look us up on Twitch. I usually host a channel on my channel. Host the stream on my channel at SomeLazyGuy09, or you can look up Bertaman and Ponch to support their channels as well. So at Bertaman and at Ponch_YYC. They got some fun streams going on there. So yeah, we appreciate all the support we've been receiving so far. Dad9 is honestly leaving comments on our YouTube videos. We greatly appreciate it. So if you're listening on the video, feel free to drop a comment, reply to his, just get some community engagement going. But we appreciate all the support so far.
And even on just real quick, even on like the other things you guys listen to, or whether it's Spotify or Apple or Google Play, review is always great. If you can do that, just takes a second, but that goes a long way for us. So that'd be great if you guys can take the extra second.
Yeah, exactly. So any bit of engagement goes a much further way than you would think. So we appreciate any support, even just listening to us when you're at work or anywhere on the go. You can listen to our podcast. We're happy to just kind of be in your ears and talking. So anyway, let's get into today's topics. We got the league updates. So looking around the league, what do you guys see that's, I guess, not most shocking, but what do you guys see around the league that's going on?
Well, I'm just seeing basically the playoff races on the west side. I think is much more interesting than the east side. I really think the east is solidified. I don't think it's gonna change. The west is wild. Like the wild card position is up for grabs. Even the Predators. I'm so surprised that the Predators are apparently like they are open to trading Forsberg. Like they're wanting to get value for him, right? And they're in a playoff spot. So it just goes to show how not every team thinks the same. Like I remember way back we talked about the Rangers. They're basically like battling for a playoff spot, and then they said, "Now we're gonna rebuild it or retool it." And then now they took a couple of years break, and now here they are. And it looks like the Predators are gonna take the same kind of pathway as well. So that's just what I'm seeing, and it's just interesting to see how different teams, different organizations think different ways, right? Like, what's that?
Do we have to get hats on?
I don't know. Is that why he went to get a? Where is he going? He's getting a hat. What is happening? Why are you guys putting on hats?
We're getting hats on.
Okay.
Dad9 redeemed the hats, so I got the first hat that I found in my room is a winter hat. Obviously Montreal Canadiens hat.
I was just talking, and you guys just both left. I'm like, okay, all right then. But I guess I'll get a hat too then. That's what I'm seeing. What are you guys seeing?
Oh. I think we're seeing the teams that actually need to rebuild. They're going. We need to rebuild now. Like the Sharks are done for the year. The Oilers should be done for the year. They're almost done for the year. But you those teams that like Arizona, not quite Dallas, but those bottom four teams they're packing it in. They're gonna probably call up their young fellas so then they can get some NHL experience. But yeah, I think, and then those teams that have those like pieces to sell off to the contenders are gonna start doing that right now because that's all I'm hearing. It's all trade buzz.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of teams honestly in the West that could sell, but probably won't because they think they're gonna make the playoffs. It's a very close race. Hopefully, there will be teams that see that. Okay, you know what? They're kind of done, and they choose to sell. I think a team like the Ducks would be a good team that could sell a few assets towards other teams that could go on a better run than the Ducks, and they could give more ice time to the younger players. So I think that's a team that you could see making moves like that. San Jose is one of those teams that are kind of in the middle of both. I've heard rumors that they want to just kind of keep the team the same. I heard rumors that they want to sell some assets. I heard rumors they might even want to trade Thomas Hertl because the contract talks haven't been good. Punch, I know you're a Sharks fan, so I'll let you fill us in on the details. What's going on in San Jose and what's with Thomas Hertl? He said the talks are positive, but there's been nothing from it. So what's going on there?
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised. It takes because they want to lock him up for 8 years. 8 years, like, and that's what they have been doing. San Jose has had a reputation of signing players for a long, long time, and I could see Tomas trying to figure out what is their plan going forward because he does want to win a ring and he does want to, he does want to compete. And right now, San Jose is just not quite in that spot right now. But if Doug Wilson, and granted though, Doug Wilson's currently on medical leave, and he's I don't know who's interim GM right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tomas Hertl is just waiting for Doug Wilson to come back off medical leave to make final contract talks.
Yeah. Sorry, baby Bagel Ham was just talking about how they just noticed the stream title, and I found it funny because actually I was making clips from last podcast on Tuesday of just our takes and stuff about the smash and pass thing, and it just sounds so funny. Like if somebody doesn't know what we were talking about, like I think I have to put a caption on front of it and say this is what the smash and pass means because it's like smash and pass Carolina, and it will be like smash, and then you'll be like the consensus is we'd smash Carolina. It just sounds so funny.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I'd have to figure out like a way of describing it. So maybe I'll switch the title to something a little bit different.
We got a question from chat though, asking what they can do with Vlasic's contract. Personally, I don't think there's anything they can do. They gotta bite the bullet on it, or if they really want to, they're gonna have to give away something as well. What teams are doing now is giving away a first or giving away
Mhm.
something like that of substance, so then the other team can take them on.
Right.
But I don't know what's gonna go. What do you think, Ponch and Mike?
So I'm just looking at it, the initial cap hit right now. If you wanted to buy Marc-Edouard Vlasic out, that wouldn't be. It's not out of the picture right now because the initial cap hit would be 3 mil, and then it go down to 1 mil, 4 mil, 5 mil, and then for the next 4 years, 1 mil. So it's not out of the picture, and I could see them going maybe next year or the year after because he's still a serviceable defenseman. He's just not worth what he was. But I've just put it on, if they bottom out in 2023, the initial cap hit would be 1.4, 4, 5, 169, nice, for the next 3 years. So they could they could um they could wait too and see, because the only problem with Vlasic is he's got such a big contract and the no movement clause. So if you did want to trade Vlasic for something, he'd have to like where he's going. That's why if I was gonna trade him, it'd be to Montreal. Or B, you just gotta wait on him.
Well, real quick, what I would do. Sorry, Mike, I just saw you about to say something, but I was going to say if I was running the team, I think they're in a place where they're having some young talent come up, and I think the priority is to get the development well for those guys and make sure those guys are um on the right trajectory. So as that's happening, if you're assuming that the team is not going to be that good, um, with these bad contracts, because you're going to be losing more assets than getting rid of them, right? Probably just bite the bullet, let it ride out as much as you can, and then as these guys get better, if they start getting really good, go ahead and trade what you got to do and get them the support they need. That's what I would say. What about you, Mike?
To be honest, the Vlasic contract is one of the most untradeable contracts I have ever seen in the NHL. This is a contract that's not even front loaded. So if you look at the John Tavares contract, I heard the SDPN podcast talk about this, or the Steve Dangle podcast anyway. They're talking about the John Tavares contract and whether he should be traded. The way the John Tavares contract works, in the first couple of seasons, he's getting paid like $15 million. So that way, by the end of his contract, he's only really making around $6 million, and that's for an $11 million cap hit, right? So he's getting paid real dollars, a lot less than what his cap hit is. So a team like Arizona, Ottawa, teams that are not willing to spend as much money but need to get to the cap floor, that would be an interesting move for them, because he'd still be a serviceable player with a large cap hit but a low actual pay compared to his cap hit. But you look at, I don't know who signed this contract, but you look at Marc-Edouard Vlasic, he got paid less in his first couple years. So let me pull it up here so I can actually explain it to you properly here, but instead of trying to like ramble on and make it up as I go. So Marc-Edouard Vlasic's contract, right, the first year it signed, he only made like 6.25 in base salary and 7.25 total salary. So he literally made what his cap hit was. Or actually, sorry, slightly above it. Only 250, but only 250,000 above it, right? The year after, same thing, only 250,000 above. The year after, same thing, and this year, same thing. So each year, he's only being paid $250,000 above the cap. They've only saved $1 million so far in terms of like the difference between his base salary and his cap hit, right? And then you keep going. Next year it's the same thing. The year after that it's the same thing. So by his fifth and sixth years of this contract, his salary, like his actual pay, doesn't drop. It only goes to 7 and then to 5.5. So it's still not a contract that a team would want to take on. Whereas if, let's say, San Jose had structured it more intelligently, now they probably did this because they don't have the money to spend, like, say, $10 million on Vlasic up front, but say they had done, say, 10, 10, 7.5, and then they go down to like 5, 4, and 3. Easily tradable contract. They could get off the books in 2 seconds. Arizona would be calling them, begging them for that contract because they could get to the cap floor. But because he's still going to be paid what his cap hit is, no one wants that contract. He's not worth that cap hit. So the only way you would have been able to trade him is if you had done a front-loaded deal, which they didn't do. So it's essentially an untradeable contract. And this brings me to the next question from chat. Spider-Man from Naruto asks, Vlasic or Petrie, who goes first? Quite honestly, Vlasic won't. Yes, because Vlasic
gotta be Petrie.
Cannot be traded unless San Jose like costs up a first-round pick. Vlasic will not and cannot be traded before the end of Petrie's contract anyway. Petrie's done in 2 years. Vlasic's done in 3 or 4. I think 4. So
4.
I mean, it's basically whoever's contract ends first, and Petrie's end first. So easily Petrie goes first because Vlasic's contract is, I think, one of the most untradeable contracts in the NHL. It just is. No team wants that. I played a San Jose GM mode the other day, or I was playing it the other day, letting it sim while I'm at work. And for some reason, Carolina offered me a 3rd-round pick for Vlasic. I took it in 2 seconds because I'm like, yo, you guys are so dumb. Have fun with this contract, and it's off the books.
Isn't it funny though how the perspective on players changed throughout the years before and after contracts? Like Vlasic was touted as one of the most underrated defensemen before his contract was signed. and then now that his contract signed, I mean, he's one of the most overrated defensemen. And then same thing with just other defensemen as well. Like I know Christopher Tanev in the Canucks market or even around around the league. He was like touted as one of the most underrated defensemen of all, like in the league. Like that's what he was. People were saying there's trade offers everywhere and rumors everywhere how underrated he was. And then he was so underrated that he got overrated, if that makes any sense. And then now he's in Calgary, and people are like, oh, this guy's like a Norris caliber defenseman, and I personally don't agree with that. But I mean, but still, like the point is the perspective changes like so much, and how quickly things can change just like that.
So I had originally thought his contract was like 2 years left on it, so I would have said, okay, Montreal, call him up and get a free pick because he's from here, so why not? Maybe he'll play better here. But now that I realized, now that I found out, oh no, he actually has like 4 years left and all being paid at full salary. Hell no. No one go after this contract, please. Any NHL team, if you're listening, don't waste your money on this contract because it's not going to save you any. The only time it's ever going to save you money is in the last year of its deal. But at that point, why does San Jose even bother trading him unless they really want to free up cap space? So it's one of those things. Like it's a bad contract, man. And you're in California. You don't need to overpay players in California. I don't think. Do they have a high state tax in California, like income tax?
I don't. I think it's on the higher end, but it's not like crazy. The thing though was, it was signed in 2017. So in the context of signing him, it was right after the Cup run. So he would have been what, 29 maybe? 29? Sound about right?
Like that. That's already a bad deal though. You're paying him for the worst part of his career.
But then he's also the highest paid defensemen are always right-handed and right-side defensemen, and San Jose has all three. So at the time, it would have made sense because a 29-year-old Vlasic, we just hit the Cup, Brent Burns got paid, and you didn't want to break up because we didn't have Carlson yet. That was the thing, because you had two great defensemen, and then the core was okay. So it would have made sense to overpay Vlasic and Burns. And even Burns right now is in overpayment, but at the time it works. It works. But then you picked up Carlson.
So you have three overpaid defensemen.
But also Carlson was at the time just coming off injuries. And the trade we gave up Josh Norris first pick, and and to lose Carlson would have just been, would have been terrible because we gave up so much. Well, not so much, but if we didn't sign him, it wouldn't have made sense. So, like, looking at it now, they don't need these players to be the 7 mil players that they used to be. You want them to just put up points. And Brent Burns is doing that. Vlasic can be there to mentor the young guys. Pair him up. Murky's still on the young side. Pair him up with Murky. It'd be good to have a puck-moving defenseman and Vlasic, who's solid on the defensive end. But we'll see, because some of the old guard is moving away, because Radim Simek isn't getting the playing time he used to get. Mario Ferraro is going to be a fairly good defenseman coming up. He's just injured. Same with Carlson. Carlson's still a great defenseman, great person you can learn off of. He's just injured.
Yeah, he's been playing through a lot of injuries lately in his career too. Like I think Erik Karlsson, honestly, because I haven't been fantasy hockey and he's been riding my IR for a while now, but when he's in the lineup, he's been honestly solid. Like we already know he's not good defensively, never has been. The difference is in San Jose, they don't give him someone like Mark Mathot to make up for his mistakes, right? So in Ottawa, he's able to pinch, be super aggressive all the time, always offense, right? But in San Jose, he can't, because he doesn't have. Well, he still tries to, but he can't be as effective at it because he doesn't have the likes of Mark Mathot behind him. I think they tried pairing him with Mario Ferraro at one point, but he's also injured. And I think Simek would be the best matchup for him, in my opinion. But That's just my opinion, and obviously I'm not a coach, so I don't want to claim to know better, but that would be my matchup just because I like the way they would complement each other. Because Schmidt can still skate too. Like, he's a pretty solid skater, it seems. So he could definitely make up for some gaps in Carlson's game with his skating and his positioning. So it's unfortunate that Carlson's injured. I think if he didn't get that ankle injury and play through it for Ottawa and then sit through, then like get injured, and now he can barely skate compared to what he used to, right? So it sucks that Carlson's unable to play the way he used to play. But San Jose really overpaid for the image of Carlson. So it's unfortunate, but someone was going to do it, and San Jose was the team to do so. Do you guys want to move on to a different topic? Do you guys want to talk about any other teams in the league, or do you guys want to move on to Batman in the NHL?
Smash or pass?
Do you want to smash or pass?
I'm kind of down for the Batman first because Smash or Pass does take a while, so I want to make sure we get the Batman done.
All right, let's do it.
I don't have any special graphics today because I did work on the overlay instead. I felt like that was a priority. But guys, let us hear it. Who are your picks for Batman? And I guess did you guys do Robin or Joker?
I did. So I made my. Okay, I kind of forgot what I did. Actually, no. I know what I did. So for Batman, I picked Stamkos. Okay, because I think if you look at how his facial structure is, it's the jawline fits. Okay, the jawline fits, and he's a leader, so he knows what to do. Right, he knows how to get the things done. And for the villain, I made my villain Vasilevsky as the Joker. And the main reason why I did that is because of his hair, and it's already Joker-like, so you could just dye it green. And his smile is a good smile, but I mean, it's it looks a little bit like the Joker smile. So I think that's why I did that.
That's fair. Ponchi, what do you have?
I picked as my Batman Timo Meyer. I think Timo Meyer represents both sides of Batman. He's got the sleek, like Bruce Wayne down, drives fancy sports cars, drinks espresso from tiny cups, but then at night, just like Batman on the ice, he delivers. He's carrying the Justice League. And then for Bane, I'd want Marty St. Louis, but just like his thighs.
Oh my God!
What in the world? Bane cannot be 5'6". Okay.
So I also picked Bane, and I think my Bane is a solid pick. I chose Tom Wilson. That guy is a literal truck out there. I was tempted to put Joker, but he's not skinny enough to be Joker, so I took Bane instead. That guy is trucking out there. He's just beating people up, and he's laughing doing it. He's having a good time. And then in terms of my superhero, it was kind of hard to pick a player. But I picked Nick Suzuki because he's my favorite player, and I picked him as Robin. I didn't pick him as Batman. So I don't have a Batman for me. I picked Robin and Bane because those are the two guys. I like Suzuki a lot, and I don't see him as Batman just yet in his career. Maybe he's like teenage Batman, if you will. Like he's like the teenage version of Batman, and he'll soon become Batman. So if you guys have seen the show Gotham, he's like that kid growing up, right? So that would be Suzuki, and then Bane is Tom Wilson because that guy just torments everybody, or maybe even Kingpin. But I don't think he's in Batman. So
Kingpin, no,
he's in Spider-Man and Marvel and Daredevil.
Yeah. But real quick, are you? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, chat. Let us hear your votes for who has the best picks for Batman/Robin characters. So like it could be Bane. So I had Bane as Tom Wilson and Suzuki as Robin. Ponchi. Who were your picks again?
My Batman was Timo Meyer, and my Bane was Marty St. Louis' thighs.
Right. And then Berta?
It's his thighs.
Yeah, so I had Stamkos as Batman, and just think about it, guys. Think about the mask on. Okay, you can see his jawline, and what's perfect. And then I have Vasilevsky as the Joker. Okay, the hair fits, the smile is good. That's the perfect casting.
And then I saw in chat, Spider-Man from Naruto made their own choice, and I kind of like their choice as well. Nicola Delore as Batman, and Curtis McDermott as Bane. So we got two goons in there. I would like to see someone maybe a bit more popular than Nicola Delore as Batman, but I do like Nicola Deslauriers, so I could see your pick. He's a strong
Mhm.
guy. He can.
You know what though? I actually like your Suzuki pick as Robin. Like, yeah, he actually fits. Like, I can just
Right?
see him
Yeah.
as Robin.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Or
Thank
like
you.
Caulfield. Caulfield would be a fun Robin.
Caulfield, yeah, Caulfield would be a good one.
He could be a good Robin too. Actually,
Are you guys watching it this weekend?
Yeah, I'm
Batman?
gonna
I
go
hope.
see it on Friday. I think. I'm
I'm
gonna see
seeing
on
it
Friday.
tonight, man.
Oh yeah, you excited?
Oh, I'm so excited, man. I cannot contain myself. Ugh, I've heard so many good things about it.
I'm excited for it, but I'm more excited for Multiverse of Madness. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
because I'm a huge
yeah.
Marvel guy. I've never really been much a
Same.
DC guy. I
Mhm.
I haven't found many of their movies that good, including uh, Suicide Squad. Those were a bit of
Oh,
a
it's
miss.
horrible.
Those were
Honestly,
a miss.
this first Suicide Squad was honestly one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
It
I
made no
will
sense.
stand on the hill. It made zero sense. It was just horrible on every level. I will never get over that. Like I spent $15 to go see it, and I'll never get that time and money back.
Yep, no, exactly. The best thing that came out of that out of that movie was some of the songs from the soundtrack. I think it was
Yeah.
what song was it? The really good one there that everyone was into.
I don't even remember.
I can't
But
remember
I
either.
like Harley Quinn though. And
Yeah,
then
she was good. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but other than that, that's about it.
And then this. What did you guys think of the second one?
Second one, I
There's a
didn't
second
mind.
one?
Yeah, that one's actually not that bad. I mean, it
Wait,
was
It was
like
still
the-
pretty bad.
Was it a
but, like, was
remake
okay.
or?
Hmm?
Was it a remake?
it was kind of like a
It
reboot.
was a
Like
sequel.
it's like
Oh yeah. No, I
Yeah.
like that one. That one was a lot better.
it was all right. Like I definitely would take that if I had to take one of them. I'd pick the second one over
Yeah,
the first one.
there's a G-Eazy song called "You and I think, and there's another one as well that was pretty solid. It was with Imagine Dragons, I think. That was a pretty good song. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Smash or Pass Western Conference Edition. So, guys, basically, what Smash or Pass is, right? Because I feel like it's important to explain it because you're
Yeah.
probably sitting here wondering what Smash or Pass. What are these guys talking about? So how it works is we look at the top 3 teams from each conference. So we already did the Eastern Conference. Sorry, the top 3 teams from each division. We already did the Eastern Conference. Now we're doing the West. And essentially we look at each of the top 3 from each division and we say, okay, would we swipe right or left on them to win the Stanley Cup, to have a chance to win the Stanley Cup? Would we believe that they could win it? So, for example, last stream, we all agreed that Toronto is a pass for us. We all decided not to smash. We decided to pass on Toronto because we don't believe in their core, right? Or we don't believe in what they're doing. Whereas we all agreed unanimously to smash Carolina because we think they could win the cup. So we call it a smash. Hopefully you guys get that. I understand that. I think that's pretty good explanation compared to how it was last time. We kind of just went with it last time. Didn't really talk about it. But anyway, the first team that I want to talk about, and Ponch, you'll start, then it'll be Bird and then me. So the first team I want to talk about is the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know why I said it so weirdly, but Ponchy, would you smash or pass the Colorado Avalanche?
Smash if they added. I think their top 6 is good, or it's fantastic actually. I think they need a couple like small pieces here and there. Maybe Ricardo Kell if the Ducks want to sell him off. I think they need like a 4th line grinder just to help solidify those last 2 lines. Yeah, like just like how Tampa Bay got Barclay Goodrow. Yeah.
Nice. I think definitely smash on Colorado. I actually have them as my favorites in the West. I think their offense is as good as Florida's offense, like how we were talking about them in the East. And they actually got good goaltending now. And I think what's going to be the key thing here is if Kadri can stay in the lineup in the playoffs. If he can stay in the lineup, like even playing half the way he's playing in this season, I don't see a team that can beat the Colorado Avalanche this year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Bird. I think Colorado Avalanche are too good. Like, they're too good of a team for me to pass on. So I'm definitely smashing Colorado Avalanche. The Colorado Avalanche. I love their defense. Honestly, Bowen Byram's going to take some more strides this season, and even next season. But you look at their defense. They got Cale Makar and they got Devon Taves. So that's almost enough for me right there because I really like those two defensemen. But they got a lot more than just that. Like, obviously, Cale Makar is probably the best offensive defenseman in the league, let's be honest, because he puts up so many points. He drives offense. He drives plays. He knows what he's doing. He's a great player. So I really like him. But if you look at the rest of their defense, right, you got Sam Girard, who's another good offensive defenseman. You got Eric Johnson playing a solid depth role. His contract's almost up as well, so that's a big cap it coming out the books. You can probably re-sign him for a lot less than what he's making. Ryan Murray, they've really rehabilitated his career. Curtis McDermott and Jack Johnson as depth guys. You know, Jack Johnson with his brother Eric. I think they're brothers. That's a pretty solid decor right there. I'm more than happy with that decor. Like, that's more than effective for me. They're all decently sized players as well. So yeah, I'm all in on the Colorado Avalanche defense. Their offense speaks for itself. I mean, Mikko Rantanen, Nazem Kadri, Nathan McKinnon, Burakovsky, Landeskog, Nichushkin. You can go on and on. Tyson Jost, like this. That's a good offense, man. Logan O'Connor's having a good season. And the Nets, this is the one flaw for me. Their goaltending. I had Darcy Kemper in fantasy hockey, and that guy started the season off terribly. Then he gets injured, so I'm like, all right, screw this. I drop him. He gets picked up by someone else, and now he starts playing lights out. So he seems very shaky so far this season. He's been very good lately, but I don't know if I trust that. I don't know if I
think you have vendetta against him.
No. I don't have that vendetta against him. I like Darcy Kemper. I want him to succeed. I held on to him as long as I could, but...
Hey, but he has a 9.19 this season.
Exactly, but that's what I'm trying to say. He's been so good lately, but before that, it was not looking pretty. So,
well, you'd rather have him peak now rather than peak early in the season and then just completely drop off.
Right,
that's true.
But what I'm getting at is that he can be pretty hot and cold, right? So I know that's pretty common with goalies, but if he gets cold in the playoffs and your goalie's Pavel Francouz behind him, you ain't winning the cup.
No,
man.
Pavel Francouz slander.
No hate to Pavel Francouz. Is a great backup.
First there was Vajelmich. What's his name?
Vejmelka.
Vejmelka. What am I saying?
First, I don't know what you're trying to say, but it's okay.
No, fair though. That is fair. Of course, goaltending is the biggest thing in the playoffs, I think, and we've seen it for so many. Even just in recent times, we've seen literally just goalies take over the series, and that comes down to the most important thing in the series, right? And the offense is obviously immaculate. The defense is great. Every team would want both the offense or defense, but yeah, I guess you're right. If there is one question mark, I would say that more than the offense or defense.
Yeah. And even in the comments, Patrap makes a good Patrap House makes a good comment here saying, can the Avs stay healthy? Right? They seem to have an issue over the last few years of not staying healthy, especially when it comes to playoff time. I think this year's going to be different. I think they're going to stay healthy. Like McKinnon's got his injury out of the way. I think Rantanen did as well. They're getting their injuries out of the way early in the season. They've been injured all season. So I think by playoff time, they'll be nice and healthy, ready to go. Nathan McKinnon's got a vendetta. He wants to win a cup. I think they're more than set to make a run this year. I think it's their time. So let's move on to the next team here. Bert, I'll let you start us off on this one.
Sure.
So right behind the Colorado Avalanche is the St. Louis Blues. They kind of came out of nowhere because they were slowly chugging along earlier in a wild card spot, just outside of a wild card spot, and now all of a sudden, second place in their division, a .660 point percentage with 70 points in 53 games. They're still 14 points back of the Colorado Avalanche because Colorado is just not fair. They're already at 84 points. But St. Louis, smash or pass?
I'm picking smash as well for them. I do like the Blues a lot. I would say, actually, how we were talking about the goaltending for the Avalanche, I would say that for the Blues. The thing is, I just don't trust Binnington. I just don't. Same kind of fantasy thing that you were talking about. He does play good, but then he does also mess up a lot as well, and that's tough. It's good they have Billy Husso though as their backup because he's been actually pretty decent when he has been in, but having Tarasenko back in the lineup has been huge, and he hasn't missed a beat. I don't think he's been so good this year, and they have Buchnevich as well, who has really just broken out here in St. Louis. I think he always had that potential, but this year he's been doing very, very well in St. Louis. It's a good fit. I don't think there's as strong as as Colorado, but they are a really good team. I do like their defense. I think their main thing is definitely the goaltending, which might be a hot take, but I don't know, man. I've seen Binnington mess up so many times, whether it's been the playoffs or the seasons. Yeah, I've seen too much out of him.
Yeah, that's fair. And honestly, Ville Husso does have to come back to earth at some point. He's been playing insanely out of him in fantasy hockey. His save percentage over the last couple weeks or month, I should say, is pretty insane. Like, here, let me get you guys his save percentage real quick here. Ponchi, if you want to do your take on the St. Louis Blues, now's your chance. I'll pull up the stats real quick.
Yeah. I say pass because I don't see anything crazy with them. Like Ryan O'Reilly's been solid. Tarasenko's having a good year. Pavel Buchnevich, he's playing fairly well too. But who's the rest? Oh, Kyrou. I forgot about Kyrou.
Even I forgot about him, but he's been really good.
He's been really good, but their defense is a little lacking. Like Falk is really good and Peryanko is pretty good, but aside from that, I could see them going after Ben Sherrod or John Klingberg to hopefully fix those problems. But the only thing is they only have $22K in cap. So that would mean having to move Brandon Saad or just somebody to make that work. And I just don't see them dismantling to maybe win a cup.
Yeah, and so to reiterate, they're a pretty solid team, for at least for me. I like the St. Louis Blues. I'm smashing the Blues because I think they're built for the playoffs.
Yeah,
I like Ryan O'Reilly down the middle. He's a playoff performer. I like Brandon Saad. He's also known to perform in the playoffs. David Perron, I like him. Kyrou, Robert Thomas, Buchnevich as well. That's a big body in there for the playoffs. I like those forwards. I'm not a fan of their defense. I'm not a huge fan of Torrey Krug. I don't like what he brings. I just don't. I don't know why.
He's bad defensively.
I'm not a fan of Torrey Krug, nor am I a big fan of Justin Falk, but I really like Colton Parayko. So I like what he brings to the table. I know they have Marco Scandella on depth defense. Robert Bertuzzo, get rid of that guy. He's literally just a penalty machine. I watched the game against Montreal between St. Louis and Montreal. I think Montreal won that game. But Robert Bertuzzo, every time he's on the ice, I could tell right away, all right, he's about to take a penalty. I literally called it twice that game that he would take a penalty before it happened. I'm watching the game like, he's about to take a penalty. Goes in front of the net, cross-checks a guy, penalty. Next play, trips a guy, penalty right there. I called it right before it happened. And then I'm like, oh, he's on the ice, we score. Because guess what? He loses his coverage. That guy is a liability defensively. He's just in the NHL because he's big and he can hit and he can fight. That's why he's in the NHL. I can already tell. Don't get me wrong. He's way more skilled than I am. He's more skilled than I could ever hope for in hockey. So I'm not taking anything away from him. He's making big money playing the NHL. That guy can laugh at me all he wants. I don't care. But I think he's a liability for your team. In my humble opinion, I think he's a liability on your team. When he's out there, you know the other team's probably going to score or he's going to take a penalty. So unless you're using him for the playoffs where cross-checking is legal and you can do whatever you want to other teams, he's still a liability. He's still going to take penalties. He's still going to lose his coverage on the D zone. He's still going to let goals in your own net. So I think if you can replace Bertuzzo and you can upgrade one of the guy on your defense to complement Krug, Falk, and Parayko, they're a sure team to go on a nice run this playoffs. I have a feeling. I think Jordan Binnington, if Ville Husso comes down to earth, I think Jordan Binnington will step up. I just know he will. It's playoff Binnington. He'll step up if he has to. So I'm definitely smashing the Blues. And as I was going to say, I think I forgot to say it, Ville Husso in 21 games, but only 20 games started because he came in relief one of those games. One of those 21 games. He's a .931 save percentage. That's insane. The only other guy in the league really above him is Shesterkin, who's playing on another tier right now. So the Blues are getting insane goaltending right now. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna stick with it. I think they're built for the playoffs. I like their coach. I think it's Craig Berube, their coach. I like him. So I think they have a chance to go on a nice run here if the stars align for them a little bit. Next up, third in their division. So third in the Central Division is the Minnesota Wild. I kind of just talked a lot, so Panchi, I'll let you start it off.
So I like the Wild. The Wild are very solid. I think they do make a trade attempt for Tomas Hertl or Jack Roslovic, maybe even Cal Yarncroc or Ricard Raquel, because they've got a little bit of cap right now, so they can definitely take on a playoff rental to hopefully get them over the top. Dumba's, I think he's on the IR, so he'll be coming back soon. I like Goudreau. He's been playing well. Kirill, Kaprizov. Yeah, Kirill, isn't he like... He's up there in points. He's had an underrated year, and nobody's been talking about him
Yeah.
enough. Aside from that, though, I really like them. Foligno's been playing fairly well, and the tandem of, is it Talbot and who's the other person behind him?
What's his name? How do you say his name? Kapanen. Kakkonen. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been playing really well. But we're gonna play a quick game here. Who makes more? Is it this player or the Parise Sutter contract? So I'm gonna
Okay.
throw out a player. Do they make more? Yes or no? So, Stamkos, do they make more than the combined contracts?
Stamkos, does he make more than Prize Suter?
Yeah, the two contracts combined.
Oh no, he does not.
No chance. They make
No.
the two contracts combined is like 10,
20
11
mil,
million.
isn't it?
Or is it
Wait, no,
20?
how much is it total?
Wait.
Okay,
we'll
yeah,
keep
that'll
playing.
ruin the game. Yeah.
What about Carey Price? Does he make more than the Parise
No.
Sutter contract?
No.
Eric
No.
Carlson.
No, it's like $15 million. No.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So it is 4.8, which is about 15. So now's the time to go in for a playoff run because you're not bogged down by the Parise Sutter contract, which is ridiculous.
Right.
But yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
how much were they signed for though? Prize Suter?
I
Like
think
I forgot they got bought out, but what was like the initial contract? If you can remember.
I'll bring it up. But yeah, no, I think I'd smash on the Minnesota Wild if they take the steps now.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to wholeheartedly disagree with you here. I am majorly passing on the Minnesota Wild, okay? And I will talk about a couple things here. So number one, they are really, really slipping here. They've won 3 of their last 7. They've lost 4 in a row. That Central Division is gonna change quite a bit. I think that one is pretty wild. But if you just look at the way their lineup is constructed, you have Kaprizov, which is great. He's probably gonna be the best player in any game you're gonna play, right? I think in any matchup, he's probably gonna be the best player, or at least one of them, right? And that's great. But the thing with that is the way this team plays is Kirill actually just drags these guys in the fight. Like he makes his line mates better, but then he's not playing on every line, right? Like you have a second line center of Frederick Goudreau. Every other team's second line center is probably gonna outplay him.
Even Montreal.
Ryan Hartman. Yeah. Ryan Hartman as your number 1 center is kind of tough. I'm just saying, like any other matchup in the playoffs, they're probably gonna get a better top 6 or better matchup. The third line, I actually think is a pretty decent third line in terms of just third lines. But then on defense, you got John Merrill and Kalen Addison. I don't even know who Kalen Addison is. Maybe I'm just fully disrespecting him, but
He's a prospect.
he's a prospect.
They got him
Okay.
from Pittsburgh.
Okay, yeah. And then
Or
you have
super.
Dumba out for I don't know how long. And having Cam Talbot in net, I would pass on Cam Talbot. I'm sorry, man. I think he's gonna get outplayed by the other goalies in the series, whatever series it is. So that's what I think about Minnesota. That being said, though, they do have some good guys coming up. Like Boldy's obviously gonna be good. Kaprizov's gonna be good for a long time. He's signed for I don't know how long, but he just signed his contract, so he's gonna be there for a while. And they can build around corner pieces like that. They still have Dumba for a bit, and I think they still have Spurgeon for a bit too. So they're not done, but I think for this year, for sure, I would pass on them.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that. I'm gonna pass on the Wild as well. I actually like the way they play. They played against Montreal and they absolutely destroyed us. And watching the game, I was like, wow, this is what really good hockey looks like. This was before St. Louis took over, though, so this was still under
And the
Duchamp.
right way.
But I was watching the Wild game. I was like, wow, this is what good hockey looks like non-boring dump and chase and system hockey. And then, so now we have the new coach, and it's a bit more entertaining for the Habs. But anyway, the point is, the Wild looked good. But I mean, they look good against a Montreal team under Ducharme, who was, let's be honest, not a very good coach yet for the league. He's not ready. But that being said, I don't think the Minnesota Wild have the depth offensively or defensively to go on a cup run, nor do I think their goalie is good enough. So yes, I think Cam Talbot's a solid goalie. He puts up decent numbers. He's playing pretty well this year, and he gives them a chance to win every night. But when it comes to the playoffs, that eliminates half the competition's already gone, right? A bunch of teams are already out. Now you're in the top 16. I don't think Cam Talbot contends as well against the top 16 teams as goalies compared to the entire league's goalies, right? So I think he's still a solid goalie in the NHL, but once you get to the top tier teams, he's no longer one of the better goalies. He's now on the lower, if not the lowest, spectrum of goaltending. So for me, the Wild don't have a good enough goalie. I think their offense needs more depth because let's be frank, Ryan Hartman and Marcus Foligno before Kirill Kaprizov were, let's say, third liners, fringe third liners. Well, actually, Marcus Foligno was a bit better, but Ryan Hartman was like barely in the NHL. And then all of a sudden he plays with Kirill Kaprizov, starts to put up crazy numbers. It's like, okay, well, you've boosted Ryan Hartman's value. Good job. But maybe trade him while his value is super high. Acquire someone who's actually better than him, who'll get even better with Kirill Kaprizov. So that's my opinion there. But it's still a little ways off for me. I think they have a little bit of ways to go here in terms of being a superstar contending team. I like Dumba, I like Brodin, I actually like Kalen Addison. So their decor is definitely coming along, but I think they need like one more piece to make that decor truly a contending decor. But their offense needs help. Like they need more depth offensively. I like Eriksson, I like Fiala, and obviously Kirill Kaprizov and Boldy that were listed before, but I think they need more. Like you can't have Victor Rask, Frederick Gaudreau, Ryan Hartman, and Marcus Foligno on your top six and be okay with it. So there's definitely some help that's needed, but you know what? They're coming along. The new GM's making his own impact on the team, and they've been improved since then. So hopefully by next year they'll have an even more improved team and they'll be true contenders. So I'd like to smash, but not just yet. I'm gonna hold off. That sounds really weird, but that's okay.
Yeah. With that, I know there's like a bunch of other teams to go. I think you guys are gonna
3 left.
at least 7 more teams. 3 more?
Yeah, only 3 more.
Yeah.
Calgary, LA, and Vegas.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do the wild card ones as well.
I guess we should, eh? We'll do Nashville and Dallas.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get going though. But you guys carry on. I'll be listening to see what you guys say. But yeah, I got some things to attend to. But chat.
For sure.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'll talk to you guys later, right?
Feel free to drop that host.
It's already hosting. I think it's broken, man.
All set.
I don't know why it doesn't show up. Even for Paunch, did it show up for you earlier?
I think mine did.
I don't know.
Well, because Paunchy's...
But that was because all for raid, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
That's
okay,
cool.
anyway.
Oh, well.
I'll see you guys later.
All right, we'll see you later. All right, Paunch. I'll start us off here. Actually, it's the Calgary Flames. You should start us off. What do you think of the Calgary Flames smash or pass? I already know my opinion. What do you think, though?
I've got smash, but I think they need to learn from what happened when they played against the Colorado Avalanche. It's fairly close to that team, but I really like how all 3 lines will produce. And they've got a good mix. I just think when they were playing the Colorado Avalanche the first time around, you had these young pieces, Dubé and Mangiapane, that just weren't quite ready yet to face Colorado. And then the goaltending was suspect.
Yep.
But I think now they're looking like proper contenders. Their goaltending looks really good. Their defense, I think they might make a defensive acquisition like at the trade deadline to boost them. They've got 3 lines that play really well. And then I could see them calling up Peltier for the playoffs.
You think he's ready?
and he's got 43 games in 41 or 43 points in 41 games. So even if he doesn't uh, shine, at least he's got some playoff experience, just like what the Canadians did with Cole Caulfield last year
Yeah, yeah, and so this in the AHL or in the W or like CHL?
in the AHL.
Wow, that's
He's on
impressive.
Stockton. I'll
That's
double check.
impressive. Then, yeah, he's putting up good numbers against older guys too. It's not against younger players from the CHL, so that's very impressive for him. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna smash the Calgary Flames here. I think they are a true contender. I think they're almost gonna be better in the playoffs than they are in the regular season, which is kind of crazy because if you think about it, they have a 32-14-6 record with a 673 points percentage for first in the Pacific. So like that's already really good. They still have 3 games in hand on the second place team, 2 games in hand on the third place team. So like they already have a nice lead. They're 5 points up on the second place team with 2 games in hand. Or sorry, 3 games in hand on them. So they're in a really good position here. They're tied with St. Louis, so ideally they could move up, and slowly start getting into the Colorado territory of points. 9-1 in their last 10, a plus 57 goal differential. They just acquired Tyler Toffoli, who's a point per game for them. I think they're going to add one more piece on the blue line, and I think they're going to be a contender. They have Markstrom and Nets, who's already proven he can carry a team in the playoffs. You got Tyler Toffoli, who's proven he can be a really good playoff performer in Montreal and in Vancouver. They already have Tkachuk, Goudreau. They have Elias Lindholm. I think their defense is still lacking for me. I'm not a huge fan of Rasmus Anderson as being one of my top defensemen. I don't know why. I don't watch Calgary that closely. Maybe he's taken a lot of strides since I last paid closer attention to them. But I think if they could improve their defense, that'd be really, really good for them. Like Noah Hannafin. Who is it again? They have Noah Hannafin, Rasmus Anderson,
Oliver Killington,
yeah,
Zadorov,
Michael Stone, and Eric Goodbranson. Like, actually,
That's not
Chris
bad.
Tanev though. I like Chris Tanev. So
and Tanev. Yeah.
So you have Tanev, Anderson. That's a decent like 1-2 punch, but neither one of them is a true number one right-handed defenseman. Then you got Hannafin with Shillington, right? Those are your 2 left guys. Neither one of those guys are a true number one guy, right? Like a true top 2 unit guy. And then your third unit's essentially Michael Stone, Goodbranson, and Zadorov, like a combination of those 3 guys. So I think their third pairing's fine. Like I don't mind Zadorov, I don't mind Goodbranson, I don't mind Michael Stone. But if you can improve and drop maybe Hannafin or Shillington down to the third unit and improve your number 1 unit, I think you're set. I think Calgary's
I think
set.
that's what's gonna happen.
That's what needs to happen. I'm just worried though that Calgary acquires Ben Sherratt thinking he's going to be that when he's really not. His numbers were not even that good in the playoffs last year when he was on Montreal. His underlying numbers were terrible. Everyone just thinks he was really good because he was out there. And he looked physical. So he passed the eye test, but the true numbers did not speak highly of Ben Sherratt last season. So I think if Calgary makes that move, that's a mistake. I think they should acquire someone different, someone not Ben Sherratt for their top unit because that wouldn't help them. Unless, you know what, Daryl Sutter, if Daryl Sutter can get Ben Sherratt playing really good hockey, and I think Ben Sherratt suits a systems game, and if you can get him playing the right way, Ben Sherratt can be very effective. When Ben Sherratt's not trying to be that punch in the face, physical cross-check guy, when he's just trying to play Ben Sherratt hockey, he's actually a very effective defenseman. The numbers prove that earlier this season. But as soon as he regresses back to the I'm going to just punch you and cross-check you and not even skate, that's when you lose Ben Sherratt. So
yeah, I'd like Klingberg in Calgary. I don't think it'd happen because Calgary's already so tight on cap, but a stay-at-home defenseman that can also move the puck would be. I think Calgary needs somebody that just does enough. They don't want him to do too much because your forwards are already so dynamic.
Almost like Brett Kulak. Would have been nice.
if you have a stay-at-home defenseman that just moves the puck, gets it to Johnny Hockey and Matthew Tkachuk, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, and for those who don't understand the joke, Brett Kulak was taken from Calgary by Montreal, and he's still in Montreal, and he's made a really good name for himself there. That's a good steal from Montreal. I like Ben Sherrod. He's one of the most underrated defensemen on the team. He moves the puck almost as effectively as Petrie at times. So it'd be nice. It'd be nice if Calgary had him on their team because I think he'd be a really, really good fit for them. But you know what? Maybe if they call Montreal up and say, "Hey, we want Brett Kulak back," maybe there's a way that could happen. But regardless of anything, I think Calgary's a really good systems team. They're built for the playoffs. I know they don't have like a true number one defenseman, but the way their decor is built is very solid, very well rounded. I think they can still win by committee. So that's why I'm still all in on the Calgary Flames for a chance at the Cup from the West. I think they could be the team out of the West. I really do, especially with Markstrom back there. And Spider from Naruto comments, if the this is Patrap. If the Flames get Sherratt, I will jump off a very tall bridge. I might join you. Just because I'd feel so guilty that they'd give up a first or a really good prospect like Jacob Peltier or the likes of Ben Sherratt. I'd feel really guilty for that. Spider from Naruto says, Sherratt is a defensive grinder. He gets dirty, but is not needed in Calgary with Lucic already there. If Calgary wants to clean house after the playoff, I can see them grabbing Klingberg by any means necessary. That's definitely possible, but I don't think Calgary's going to make any crazy changes. I think Brad Treliving really likes the team he's built, so I don't see them making any crazy moves there. Let's move on to the next team. The second place wildcard team. This might surprise you. Who do you think it is? I might have already spoiled it. It is the Kings. They have played more games, so they've played one more game than the Golden Knights, but they have a point advantage over them. So the LA Kings are in second in the Pacific. If they were in the Central, they'd be tied for third, but would probably drop down to a wild card spot because they've played so many more games than those teams. The Kings are 29, 19, and 7 with a 5.91 points percentage at 65 points. They're among one of the worst teams in terms of their goal differential that are in a playoff spot. Every team in the East has an above plus 25. Every team in the West, other than LA, has above plus 18. So LA sitting at a plus 5. That's not great, but they're 7-3 in the last 10. They've definitely improved their game. Punch, smash or pass.
Pass.
Yeah,
pass.
I'm joining you
it's
on that.
Pass.
Yeah, no chance. I'm joining in on that team. No. The only way they could ever make a run for it is if Phil Danault plays defensively like a god once again. And you know what I think the LA Kings should do for me to truly smash? I think they should go out and acquire Thomas Tatar from the New Jersey Devils. They'll probably give them to you. And Brandon Gallagher from the Montreal Canadiens. Reunite the legendary line that, honestly, Marc Bergevin, this was probably the best thing he's ever done as a Montreal Canadiens GM, was get those three guys and allow Claude Julien to put them together. They were the best line in hockey the entire time they were there in terms of advanced analytics at at 5-on-5 in every category other than the perfection line in Boston. They were always interchanging between first and six because there's the top 6 players, right? Those 6 skaters on those 2 lines were constantly interchanging with each other. Gallagher would be first one week, Bergeron would be first the other week. The entire time, Danault, Gallagher, and Tatar were together. I don't know why they got split up in the playoffs. I couldn't tell you. I think that was a stupid move, but anyway, that is what it is. Lehkonen did fill the role nicely, but I don't know why every time we got to the playoffs, Tatar would be out of the first line, even though the numbers support him being there. I think if LA makes that move, and it wouldn't cost you too much. I mean, Gallagher would cost you a lot, but Thomas Tatar would not cost you that much money. I think if you made those moves and you acquired that line, put them back together, and maybe instead of Tatar, you leave Victor Arvidsson there because he seems to fit that role pretty nicely. But instead of Trevor Moore, you have Brendan Gallagher. Oh my God, you know what? Maybe I'll give you a chance, LA. Maybe I'll give you a chance because they could just maybe do something. Playoff Drew Doughty is always something special. Playoff Quick is also capable of stealing quite a few games for you. So I think if LA were to make some interesting moves, but creative moves, they could definitely make their way slowly to maybe my one night stand list. But as is right now, there's no chance.
If you should be beating the other teams in your conference fairly well. But there are times where I could see Vancouver beating LA. I could see Anaheim beating LA. I could see San Jose beating LA. So if you want to cement yourself as the second, I think they're just really hot right now, which is it's good for them. But I could see them on any given night losing to those three teams, and San Jose's broken and injured. Vancouver's still they're clawing their way for a wild card spot. And who's the other team I just chirped? Anaheim. Anaheim still definitely. I think Anaheim has a better core than LA right now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I disagree with that. I think LA is in a better spot than Anaheim. I think Anaheim has better rookies in some ways, but I think LA has a stronger core right now. Like in the current day, I think LA is a stronger core. Just because Drew Doughty is still a really good defenseman, Kopitar is still Kopitar, and for that reason alone, I don't think Anaheim's able to compete because they don't have the star power, and LA has a bit more depth because they spent a lot of money this offseason.
Fair.
But let's look at LA's lines real quick, just to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about. They have Alex Iafallo, who I like, with Kopitar and Adrian Kempe. That's their first line. That's actually a decent first line. It's more of a defensive first line. It's more a line that's going to beat you on the counterattack. Second line is Trevor Moore, Philip Danault, Victor Arvidsson. That's another line that's going to beat you on the counterattack or beat you by the cycle game. So that's two lines right there that are defensive oriented, that'll beat you on the counterattack. They're not really much of a threat independently of that, right? Third line, Carl Grundstrom, Quinn Byfield, and Dustin Brown. That's more of like the line that's a bit more unexpected. They might surprise you at times. And then Brendan Lemieux, Blake Lizotte, Arthur Kaliev. I don't know why Arthur Kaliev's on their fourth line. That guy's one of the best shots in the NHL. He scores whenever he wants to with the shot. Seems seemingly at will. And then on defense, Mikey Anderson with Drew Doughty. Mikey Anderson's had a great season. He's complemented Drew Doughty very well, and they seem to work well together. So I'm okay with that pairing. Oli Mata with Matt Roy. Matt Roy's come out as a pretty solid defenseman, but Oli Mata, interesting. And then Tobias Bjornfot and Sean Dursey. That's another young pairing. So LA's really riding on a lot of young players in the D core, on the forward core. Like Trevor Moore is still decently young, he's like 26, 27, but he's never really been given a chance. So LA's given him that chance. And then obviously in nets, you have Cal Peterson and Jonathan Quick. So they have a few players on IR like Sean Walker and Elias Anderson and Andreas Athanasiou. So I think Athanasiou takes over that spot on the second line once Trevor Moore's out. But I don't see that team making a long run. I think they can make any series interesting because they have the right defensive players in place. But they definitely need to add some players to really solidify a good lineup. I don't know what you think about their lineup, but that's just my humble opinion on it.
I think it's okay. I don't see them beating the third place team or even beating, well, I think Edmonton and LA would be on par because they're about the same. Edmonton has the X factors with McDavid Draisaitl, but aside from that though, like do I still see Edmonton beating LA from time to time? Yeah. I do.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. I do see some comments in the chat, so I just want to address those. Spider-Man from Naruto says, "God, I wish franchise mode moves would happen, like making the Marner, Domi, and Kachuk line. That would be a really fun line." And I saw, I think it's the Nick Kiprio show. They were talking about how the Leafs should not acquire Max Domi. I think they should.
No.
I would love Max Domi in Toronto.
Really?
Yes, and here's why. Max Domi thrives in big markets. He loves the spotlight. He loves playing on the big stage. He did so well in Montreal. He fell out of favor with Claude Julien. I don't know why, but he did. Near the end of his tenure with Montreal, he fell out of favor. I don't know why, but he still was able to fetch them Josh Anderson. That's a pretty big thing to get because Josh Anderson's worth a lot right now. He's worth like 2 firsts almost, it seems. So Domi got you Josh Anderson, right? Like Domi in a second or whatever it was. So I think if you put Domi on the second line, so hear me out. Domi on the second line, I don't want to split up that top line with Bunting, Matthews, and Marner. Like they've been playing lights out. But if you put Domi with Tavares and Nylander, Domi would complement them so nicely. it would complement them so nicely. So that would be really nice to see. That allows Kerfoot to move down a line and play a better role. So anyway, that's just my opinion, but it would be kind of cool to see Domi go to Toronto, play where his dad played. But Spiders from Naruto might be just a pipe dream. And he also said he forgot that Connor Garland and Taylor Hall both played in Arizona at one point. It's weird to see them. It's weird to see them talking in like a Vancouver versus Boston game because it feels like literally like 2 seconds ago. Although that feels like years ago, but it was like last season or the season before that Taylor Hall and Connor Garland were both in Arizona on a pretty bad losing streak. So let's move on to the next team. Ponch, I'll let you start us off. You redeemed Hydrate, and I think I need some water. The Vegas Golden Knights. Are you smashing or passing on the Golden Knights?
I am. I hate to say it, but I am smashing on the Vegas Golden Knights. They're just so good, and it sucks because, like, as a Sharks fan, I hate it when the Knights are good. But look at their lines: Pacioretty. Oh my gosh! So you got Pacioretty. Stone's out right now. You've got Jack Eichel. I've not been watching enough of Knights hockey, but you also have Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore, Kolesar's been looking really good. Like, and then Leonard, shout out Leonard, he's my fantasy goalie. Do well, buddy. And Lauren Brossoit. I think they're not as stacked as they were in 2015 as when they made the cup run, but I think they're in a good spot and they need to capitalize now because I do see them kind of turning out like San Jose. If they're going to keep their gang together longer, so then they have the chance at winning, but at some point you're going to be left with contracts that you can't move, players that are really old and not enough assets to garner a full rebuild.
Yeah, they're definitely putting themselves in pretty tough situations with their contracts. But keep in mind, like Evgeny Dodonov comes off the books next year. Riley Smith is expiring this year, so those are two $5 million cap hits that you could probably trade away pretty easily. William Karlsson has a beautiful contract of $5.9 million for the next several years, and he's only 29, so he's okay there. Pacioretty only has 1 year left after this one at $7 million as a 33-year-old, so you can probably lock him up for less than that as well. And Jack Eichel's locked up long for the next 4 years after this one at $10 million. So like they're in a decent spot actually. I thought it was a lot worse. The only one that I see as being a really bad contract that you won't be able to move in the future is Alex Pietrangelo. Yeah, but the problem is Pietrangelo hasn't showed the same regression as Karlsson yet, so it's not as risky. It is a less cap hit than Karlsson as well. I'll quickly look at the Pietrangelo contract just to give you guys an idea of what he's actually making. So the one flaw I have with Pietrangelo's contract, we were talking about this again in San Jose with Vlasic. Remember I was saying if you want a contract that's buyout, like not buyout proof, but that's able to be bought out or traded to teams that are trying to reach the cap floor, like Arizona, like Ottawa, who don't want to spend real money but want to have a high cap hit to make the cap floor. Pietrangelo has an unmovable contract. He only made $5 million his first 2 seasons on the contract, so this season and last season. Next, he makes 8. The year after that, he makes 12.3. The year after that, it's 12.5. Then it's 10. Then it's 8.8, which is actually his cap hit. So no year after this will he actually be being paid less than his cap hit. He's always going to be paid either more or the same as his cap hit. So that's another contract that is really tough to move. So it's a tough one. So after this year, he's got 5 years left after this one, and he's already at the age of 32. He'll be 37 at the end of that deal. That's risky. Like that's Shea Weber territory. One bad injury on his ankle, and he could be done. So he doesn't have the same track record of injury as Weber, but I'm just saying he plays a similar style. It could be a little risky. It could be a little risky. Yeah. And Pietrangelo never had the best skating as it was. So it's definitely a tough situation. You have to hope that Shea Theodore can progress even more and make up for Petrangelo's regression, but it's tough. So I'm gonna pass on the Golden Knights, and the reason why I'm passing is I think their defense isn't good enough. I like Brady McNabb. I like what he brings, and he's on a cheap deal, and he's extended for a pretty cheap deal too for what he brings. I like Shea Theodore. I like Petrangelo. Actually, you know what? As I'm saying this, I'm smashing. I don't care. I'm smashing. I take back what I said. I'm wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong. I take it back. They have a pretty decent decor. They have a pretty decent decor. I like that.
Yeah.
I think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be perfectly healthy come playoff time. I think Mark Stone's going to come off IR for the game one of the playoffs, and you'll have Pacioretty, Eichel, and Stone on the same line, and then you have the Marshall line together as usual, the Carlson, Marshall, Smith. You'll have Dadonov on the third line with whoever else you want, and the fourth line could be Carrier, could be Nicolas Roy, Carrier, and the other guy that they have, and that could be I think it's Garnet Hathaway. That'll be your energy line. Then your decor is solid, big bruisers that can hit hard. The only flaw for me is Robin Lehner. I'm not a fan of Robin Lehner. I don't like the way he moves in the net. He's big and he can cover a lot of ground and he's got decent reflexes, but he's moving laterally for him. If you can elevate the puck, he's not going to save it. I'd be happy for him to prove me wrong because I want to see Vegas succeed. I actually want to see a cup in Vegas because I think that'd be amazing for the game of hockey, and I think they'd put on a great show. But that being said, I don't think they have the team to do it. I just don't like I don't like their goalie. I'm still gonna smash because I think they could make up for Leonard's game, and I think they're gonna acquire a goalie. But I don't think Leonard's your guy. I really don't. That's just my opinion on it, though. A lot of people like Leonard. I like his personality. I like what he brings to the locker room. I don't like him as my superstar goalie.
I think I'm not too fussed with Leonard. He's got a 907 on the year.
That's below league average. Fairly good. That's below league average. Mm-hmm. You want your goalie around 912, don't you?
I think 9 around that. But you also, that's out of the best goalies in the league. So I'm okay with that as long as your defense is still holding up. Because a 2.81 isn't awful. It's average. And I think right now, because the goalie market, it's just so tight. There's no great goalies where Vegas could go, this guy's better than Leonard. There's only so many people that I'd go, yeah, they're better than Leonard.
There's a quite a few goalies I'd say are better than Leonard, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think it's like a Cam Talbot situation like in Minnesota. Remember, like, yeah, he's better than most of the goalies in the league, or not most, but he's better than like a good portion of them. But once you get to the playoff time and you're the top 16 teams, well, that's when he becomes one of the worst goalies.
Yeah.
In that pool of players.
Yeah. And then it'd also be harder to get one of those goalies that are above him without giving up too much and breaking up that core. So I think, relatively speaking, although Leonard's stats are on the weaker side, I don't think that just because their goaltending's not or just below league average, I don't think that necessarily knocks them out of contention.
Yeah, because I guess that's fair. Yeah. If he can elevate his game for the playoffs, like, they'll be more than set.
San Jose made it to the conference final with an 8.99 goalie. So just because Leonard's only putting up a 907, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what he'll do in the playoffs.
Yeah. Spider-Man from Naruto mentioned Leonard is good, but they need a playoff goalie. Trading MAF, so Marc-Andre Fleury, was a Band-Aid on an open wound, and I agree 100% with that comment. If I could take... Honestly, I think Kelly McCrimmon, as much as he's denying interest in Fleury, if they could straight up trade Fleury for Leonard, I think they would, in a heartbeat. If that was a possible move, where they get half retained on Fleury, they trade Leonard for Fleury and maybe throw in a fourth or a second or whatever it is, I think they do that in a heartbeat. So I think Fleury gets you there. I don't think Leonard does.
I think... Yeah, I wouldn't... I'd maybe look towards like drafting or developing another goalie. I don't think trading back for somebody that you just traded away is necessarily the great
Yeah,
option, because that's
I
what
agree. Yeah,
that's what Calgary wants to do with Mark Giordano. And I say,
no.
like, you could. It wouldn't be necessarily the worst thing, but I don't see that helping your future.
Yeah, no, I agree. Acquiring Mark Giordano is not the right move for Calgary. I agree with you on
Mm.
that. And I'm not saying to acquire MAF. I'm saying that if they could go back and instead give up Leonard than Fleury, I
Oh
think they
yeah.
would. 100%. And Spider from
Well,
Naruto, to end off the stream,
yeah,
because we are at the time, um,
yeah.
Spider-Man from Naruto says, that future considerations fella sure gets moved around the league a lot. And I agree. Who is this future considerations fella, and why
Yeah.
does everybody want him?
Well, Future's been in the league since well into the 80s, so he's
Oh,
had a
yeah.
good long career. Um, you know, like he's essentially well worth it because you get Marc Andre Fleury's for Future. Um, what are some big trades? But then you also get these small deals where you had Dzingel and the Labushkin, also future consideration. So you know what? I think he's kind of like a Wall Street bet right now.
Yeah.
Either his value's really good, but then sometimes the value's like really low.
Yeah, people just want him on their team. I think they just want
Yeah,
futures on their team. I think that's just the way. Like Montreal did it the other day for McNiven. Calgary, I'm surprised Calgary gave him up. Future considerations. Like that could be a good player one day. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's
Well,
crazy.
like
It could
yeah.
turn into a
Well,
seventh round pick. Who knows?
name another player that's been in the league as long as future considerations. Can't.
I can't. There's no one who has
You
that
can't.
longevity. Like that's insane. It's almost like they're not even human.
Yeah.
Spire from Naruto also says, oh please, Vegas, give us Leonard back for MAF lol," in all caps. Dad9 Sports is calling us jackasses. I don't know why. And then Spider Man says Hawks would love to have a guy on a terrible team who puts up above 900 save percentage and isn't on there last year. The flaw with your comment is it's not the goalie, man. It ain't the goalie. It's your defense. Here, just to comment on the Hawks one more time, as I have said all season long, your defense sucks, man. Like I don't know what you were expecting. Here, let me pull up their stats real quick for the Chicago Blackhawks and their defense. Are you ready for this? You want to hear what their decor is? Seth Jones at $9.5 million. Calvin DeHaan at 4.5. Jake McCabe at 4 for the next 3 years after this one. Connor Murphy at 4.4, extended for the next 4 years after this one. Because, yeah, let's extend that guy. Riley Stillman, who I actually like, at 1.35 for the next 2 years. Caleb Jones, expiring. And Eric Gustafson, expiring. That's your decor. Really? Really? And you expect your goalie to put up a 900 save percentage? Yeah. That ain't happening. Also, it seemed like Jeremy Carlton, I think that was the coach before, he seemed like he had given up on his job. So it makes sense that the goalies and the team was playing bad before, but even with him gone, they still pretty much suck. Let me pull up the Hawks team, like player stats. All right, you ready for this? Are you guys ready for this? By player, can I go on a team? Yes, I can. Beautiful. Chicago Blackhawks. Are you ready for the defensive stats here? I'm only going by defenseman. You guys ready for this? Seth Jones, 34 points. Okay, that's not bad. Minus 24. Jake McCabe, only 10 points. Minus 21 in 47 games. Riley Stillman's only a minus 1 in 28. Play him more, please. Eric Gustafson has 14 points and is a plus minus of 0 in 43 games. Play him more, please, because he's actually doing something. Caleb Jones is a plus 1. Play him more when he's not injured. Calvin DeHaan's a minus 16. And where's Connor Murphy? A minus 15. That's actually not as bad as I expected, but still. Minus 15 for Connor Murphy.
You need to change it up there.
That is a terrible decor. And you know what's even worse, actually, about what I'm talking about there? You want to know what's even worse about that? Here's what's worse.
What's that?
Connor Murphy, they just extended to 4.4 per year for the next 4 years, right? Well, what do you think his stats were last year? Like, what do you think why do you think he warranted that extension?
I'm going to say he played all 56 games. He had 15 goals, 20 assists.
No. He had 3 goals, 12 assists, for 15 points in 50 games, and a plus 1.
Oh no!
Is that really worth 4.4 million for the next 4 years? Are you really betting on that?
What are
Dude,
we doing?
he's 28. Like at least he's 28. Like, that's not too bad because I mean maybe some team will take him, but that was the exact problem in Arizona. That's why they couldn't move him because they'd signed him to a big deal after like an average season, think he's gonna improve. And at least to Arizona's benefit, they signed him when he was like 21 to a 4-year, 4 something deal, and they were never at the salary cap like max, so it didn't matter. But it was still an unmovable deal because no one wanted that contract. Then Chicago finally said, maybe he'll play well over here. First season, 14 points in 76 games, a -3. Second season, improved. 13 points, 52 games, a +12. You know what? Well done. If you sign the extension after that season, I'd understand. But guess what? The year after that, 19 points, improvement, 58 games, only a +2 though. The year after that, regression, 15 points. And now this year, he's got 9 and 51 and a -15. I'm telling you, he's not worth 4.4 million. And his shooting percentage is higher than what it was last year, this year. Higher. He shot 3.8 last year. He's at 6.5. That's insane. And don't even get me started on Jake McCabe, by the way. Don't even get me started on the Jake McCabe contract. $4 million per year for the next 3 years. You want to know what Jake McCabe's stats were at the time of that deal or when they acquired him? Guess how many points he had last season. Or sorry, the season before last. When they signed that deal. Or acquired him.
Sorry, say that again.
So, last season, 2020, 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess how many games he played. This is the first year after his new contract. 4x4, I think.
And is this the COVID year?
And this is in Buffalo. This is the COVID year. Guess how many games he played? 2020, 2021.
2021. 36.
13 with 3 points and a +2.
Oh no!
And so Chicago sees that contract, right? 3 more years or 4 more years at $4 million. Like, yes, give me that contract. Let's pair him with Connor Murphy from Arizona and Jake McCabe from Buffalo, who was a -11 the year before that when they signed that deal. Put them on the same pairing. Guess what? Jake McCabe is a -21 with 10 points. Chicago, what? Hello? You really thought you were going to win with that contract with those teams? Bowman would be seething right now if he didn't believe in his moves. Dude, what are those moves? Dude, it's like throwing paint at the air and hoping it sticks to the air. Like, that's not even throwing paint at a wall and hoping it sticks. That's not even that. That's literally just throwing paint at the air and hoping it sticks, which literally makes no sense, by the way. That's bad. Like, that's bad. Like, he didn't miss on 1, he missed on 2, right? Calvin DeHaan's been okay, but like, why? Anyway, I went on way too long of a rant for the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm sorry. Punch, anything else you want to cover before we call it a day?
Yeah, let's go William Eklund, Eurogardens. He's having a great year. What else do I want to shout out? I want to shout out Vancouver legend Mark Messier. I hope he's having a good day. Hope he's selling Lay's a lot of chips. Let's shout out I don't know what else to shout out. What else can we shout out? I want to shout out all you GM players working hard, improve those teams, get it done. And yeah, that's it.
Nice. And just to end off as well, in the comments sections, Seth Jones makes too much to have other players on the top. Sadly, yeah, that does make sense, but they're still paying Jake McCabe and Connor Murphy $4+ million per season. That's 8 and a bit for 2 players that are well below even. So, I mean, guys, you could have spent your money much more wisely. Chris Weidman would probably be more effective. Let's be honest with ourselves here, and he's worth less than $1 million. And then Dad9 Sports says, to be honest, you guys are the only reason I know anything this season. Have not been paying attention, lol. Spent the last 2 months caring about Calder trophies. Well, we appreciate you using us as your source for hockey. We appreciate that.
That's the most debatable source.
Hey, we are not a debatable source. We use facts, we use reason, we use our objective opinions.
There's no bias.
Subjective opinions.
No biases at all.
We do our best though. And shout out to Pizza, of course. The podcast homie should do a franchise sim. I'm down with a franchise simulation. Would you guys be down with a franchise simulation at some point?
I'd be down.
We could be like co-GMs.
Yeah.
Triple threat co-GMs for Arizona. We'll figure it out. Maybe chat can
That'd
vote
be
on
fun,
a
actually.
chat could vote on a franchise and we try to bring it back to life. Would you guys be down with that?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be down. And we can do like a troll franchise where chat can request for us to trade players and we have to trade them using the find trade tab and a random number. I'd be down with that. All right, that'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fun. And then lastly, I saw someone mention that we should do a fantasy hockey league next season. We will 100% do a fantasy hockey season next year. Just someone remind me and I'll happily make one. I've made one before. It was also Dad 9 Sports, of course. So just remind me to make one. And we'll definitely get the underworks. I'm sure Punch and I could figure it out. And obviously, huge shout out to Baby Bagel, Spider from Naruto, and Dad 9 Sports for all hanging out till the end of the stream. We appreciate that. Hang out to the end of the podcast. All three of you, feel free to check out our podcast at this link here I'm sending. It's our Anchor link that allows you to access all. You already did it, Punchy. Well, anyway, allows you to access any platform for our website, for our podcast, other than YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to look us up on Spotify and give us a like or drop a nicer rating on Spotify, that'd be awesome. You can check us out through Anchor, and it helps with all your podcast needs. You can also listen to it directly on Anchor, I'm pretty sure. So it's awesome. It's a great platform. So we appreciate all your support as always. We'll catch you all in the next one. Ponch, anything you want to say before we end it off?
Mark Messier has the most rings, is the Vancouver Canuck with the most rings.
Nice. Berto's not here to defend that. So we'll let him seethe in his chair when he gets home. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Everyone have a good night. Have a good evening. I'm about to go watch the Habs game. Go Habs, go, baby. Let's get that win against Calgary. Sorry, Ponchy. And wait, is that 8, right? Or 7?
For what?
The Habs game.
I don't know.
Fudge.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't know what time it's at. Damn. I thought it was gonna be early. Scores for tonight. Oh shit, I can't. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern, dude. I have work in the morning. I can't watch that. God damn it, NHL. Never mind, not watching the Habs game. I got my hopes up. We'll see you guys later. Everyone have a good night. And we appreciate you all and all your support. We really do. It means a lot to us that you hang out with us and listen to us talk about hockey and interact with us. It's such a fun time. Honestly, the podcast is one of my favorite things about Twitch, if not my favorite thing about Twitch. So we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you, N1 Hawk, for the lurk, but we're actually heading out. Everyone have a good night, and we'll see you all later.